travel safe, don't drink and drive, enjoy your family and your friends, and arrived at this holiday season filled with the happiness and satisfaction of a job well done. It's been a great year, a busy year, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
What's up, Hedgehog Warriors? I'm Devin Saxon, joined by Greg Baldwin. We're the meme team behind Libertarian Party of South Dakota and South Dakotans Against Prohibition. Today's episode is brought to you by Pinkcoin. You can check them out at pinkcoin.com. Killer show today. Holy cow. It's been nearly 3 months since our Attorney General committed vehicular manslaughter, and he's still at large. No arrests, no charges. What the hell is going on, Greg? Where do we even begin?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I kind of questioned it last week's episode. I think anyone else by now, the honorable thing would have been to resign. We'll go over all that. We'll go over all the details tonight. It's going to be a great episode.
And it looks like we already have our first guest on standby, Mr. CJ Abernathey, former candidate for District 23 in South Dakota. How you doing tonight, CJ?
Oh, just enjoying a Sunday for what it is, man. I don't get to have any relaxing time. Been working my ass off all day for a new project, so.
Well, cheers.
I'm digging the new show, though. Congratulations, gentlemen. This is well done.
CJ, by the way, is the main guy from Internet Warlords. Check him out. It's good stuff.
Yeah, you can find my stuff at internetwarlords.com. I'm also the executive producer for Adam Kokesh, Adam versus the Man, as well as the executive producer for Cash Jackson, who will be starting his podcast here soon, which is going to be awesome. And I am the East River Regional Coordinator for the Libertarian Party of South Dakota. And what else? What are other?
You just ran for Senate too, didn't you?
I ran for Senate.
I mentioned
ran
that.
For governor. Ran. Keep running. Do a lot of running.
Well, yeah, we're talking about Jason Ravnsborg today. What do you think about the situation here? Let me get him up on the screen while you talk about it.
Oh, great.
Oh wait, wrong picture. Here we go. There he is.
Yeah, well, that's our favorite esteemed Attorney General, currently serving as the acting Attorney General for the state of Meth Dakota. You know, Meth Dakota, it's the state just south of North Dakota,
Dakota, full on.
Now, I will say that Meth Dakota does have a little bit of kind of undertone to it now that cannabis is legal. I don't know if you guys know this, but the day after cannabis was voted on, the attorney out here for the state said they will not be prosecuting anybody. It's just don't go selling it to school kids, and just don't be stupid. And,
yeah, I think I read that.
Yeah, it was pretty nice.
Attorney.
But to the Attorney General, though, to the man who's supposed to enforce these laws, it's kind of hard to convict somebody for a nonviolent crime when you've committed a violent crime, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, just throwing that out there. It's kind of crazy to me. So go ahead, Devin, walk us through what you got here.
Basically, the story begins September. If you're not aware, on September 12th, Attorney General was at the Spink County 2020 Lincoln Day dinner, and according to his public statement, he was there from 5:45, I believe, till 9:15. So here's the Spink County Lincoln dinner. It was at the Rooster's Bar and Grill in Redfield, South Dakota. So, after that, here, let me get this off the screen here. So we know that he left at this bar at 9:15 that evening. Oop. Yeah.
Yeah, and he claimed that he claimed that this is great, Devin. He claimed that he had zero alcohol,
Yeah.
right?
He's claiming in his public statement that he didn't drink anything. He says he has witnesses, and they basically all these people that attended this Republican fundraiser. So it's like, can you really trust these people? I don't know.
Where along this route did the accident occur? Are we going to get to that?
Yeah, so if you can see here, he left Redfield at 9:15, and the accident occurred a mile outside of Highmore,
Okay,
which is
so he
about
was
halfway.
yeah.
You can see it's about halfway, about an hour towards Pier.
Is this in District 23?
I don't know. It's your district.
I think that looks like the southern part of District 23 there.
Yeah. So basically, 9:15. So the accident occurred, according to the investigative report that we've actually gotten so far. The accident occurred at 10:30, just outside of Highmore, and then he called 911. So
Hey,
let's play
funny
that.
story real quick. There's a town called Blunt, and then it's Highmore in South Dakota, and they're like right there on that same road. Like, do you want to you can go to the Capitol and take a right and go to Pier, or you can go left and go to Blunt and get Highmore.
Well, those are going to be pretty big cities coming up here in
District
July.
23 joke right there. District 23 joke.
All right, well, let's get this 911 call up.
Oh, this is terrible, you guys. This is where you can just hear the lies.
So it's 10:30. He's on his way to Pier. Just got into an accident right where the speed changes from like 45 miles an hour to 65 to the west of town. Here we go.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
911, this is Ashley.
Can you guys hear that, by the way? Good.
Yeah.
All right.
How can I help you?
Allie, Allie, I'm the Attorney General, and I don't know.
Let's just stop right there. So what do you guys think about him just coming out with saying that he's the Attorney General just straight off the bat?
Asking
about you?
for special privileges,
Yeah,
basically.
like if you think about it, this guy's the top law enforcement official in the entire state.
It's so that the first responding officer knew that he was dealing with a VIP.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
How intimidating would that be to be a sheriff and you're basically going up to your boss? I mean, I know sheriffs are elected, but I mean, if you're trying to advance your political career, if you're trying to get in to a higher level in the Republican Party, you were going to mess with the elected Republican general? I don't think so.
Yeah, I usually don't call 911 and tell them my job title.
Well, I mean, honestly,
this is Greg Baldwin here, certified.
Actually, when Greg talks, hi, I'm Greg Baldwin, Vice Chairman of the Libertarian Party, like that.
I'm Devin Saxon. I ran for Public Utilities Commissioner.
He's in like campaign mode. He immediately turned this into a campaign where he's like, "Hi, I'm the Attorney General," and so yeah, I mean, he's using it as a position of hey, lady, like let's kind of walk this one through easy with me here.
Yeah. Let's keep going.
And by the way, when did this call come in again?
This call came in. I don't have the exact.
Because
time.
I mean, if you were,
that'd be good to know exactly. I know the accident happened at 10:30.
How long?
So
like, did he call? It sounds like he was outside the vehicle when he was calling.
Well, if one of you two want to search it up real quick while we're playing it, I can put it up on the screen.
Yeah, I don't think they released the time. I guess that'll definitely be a question for the trial.
Yeah, I think it might be in his public statement. So we'll go through his public statement after we listen to the 911 call. Okay, keep going.
Hit something.
By Highmore.
I'll rewind it for a second.
I hit something.
You hit something.
By Highmore. And it's in the middle of the road.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to let's make a mental note here when we're going through this stuff, this evidence, that he said that he hit something in the middle of the road. Let's keep that in mind. Middle of the road. I'm going to bring this up later.
Give me 1 second here. Let me get you a map. Do you know where you're at?
I believe I'm by Highmore. I'm right. I can see the town.
Okay.
I think that's Highmore.
East or west?
I just went through it.
Do you think he's still driving right now?
What's that?
Do you think he's still driving when he's calling? Or because his car wasn't operable, or like how far? Like I got so many questions and we're not even there yet. Like
According to his public statement, he wasn't driving. He was, and his car was unable to be driven after he hit the victim. Let's keep going.
West of Highmore, about a mile, if that.
Okay. And this is Scott.
surprisingly, this is where I learned how to say his name.
Jason Ravnsborg.
Ravnsborg. Perfect. Okay.
You said he got real busy.
Wait, I'm gonna stop right here. I forgot to put. We're actually taking phone callers for this episode, so if you guys want to phone call instead of clicking the invite link, that's totally fine. And there's an invite link in the description if you want to click it to join the broadcast anytime. Just go ahead and click that.
Are you injured at all, Jason?
I am not, but my car sure as hell is.
Uh-oh. Are you out of the roadway?
I am out of the roadway. I was able to get over, but
Okay.
Okay, what?
it sure hit and smashed my windshield.
Oh, no. Okay. Do you think it was a deer or something?
Did he nominate?
I have no idea.
Okay,
All right.
so he says, like, when the story first came out, they kind of like printed it off that the Ravnsborg came up with the idea that he hit a deer, but when you listen to the 911 call, it's actually the 911 operator that suggests, "Did you hit a deer?" And then he says, "I have no idea." So, like, what would your first reaction be if you were the sheriff, CJ of Highmore, and your 911 operator told you that, okay, we got this guy says he's the attorney general, and he says he hit something and he doesn't know what he hit. What would be like? How would you handle that police stop?
Well, I mean, in all honesty, I was making a different point on this real quick. That I mean, that is a very valid point, but the continued lie was perpetuated. That, and I mean, again, the question becomes, well, did you think you hit somebody, or did you hit another vehicle? But this so specific makes me believe that this is a fake, not authentic, or in real time 911 call.
Interesting.
It's an interesting thought because of how it plays out after the fact and the statement that you make right there. So it just kind of makes me it makes me believe that this was all put out after the fact. And
it could have been, again, this 911 call was released literally 24 hours before Election Day on November 2nd.
Yeah, this was supposed to be one of those.
This got released when nobody was paying attention to the news.
Yeah,
other than the presidential election.
Right. This was where they were like, we could sweep this under the rug pretty freaking simple if we just, put it in on like specific media days. But the call specifically, I question whether or not this is the first authentic call to 911. I think this is not an authentic call.
Yeah. Well, it could, we don't know.
But you're right. She is the one that puts that idea out there. It wasn't.
What about you, Greg? How would you handle this situation if you were the sheriff and you found out two facts? One, that the attorney general has hit something, and two, the attorney general doesn't know what he hit.
Well, yeah, I would. Yeah, my thing, I don't know about the sheriff part, but one thing I wanted to point out real quick, I would say my wife would agree with CJ. She actually told me yesterday, the last couple of days, she's like, that phone call's not real. So I don't know if it's real or not, but one thing I think is weird about the phone call is that, and I don't know if do you got any pictures of the vehicle?
Yeah.
Put it up on screen quick.
Okay, second.
So when he says he doesn't know if he hit a deer he just says he doesn't know what he hit. And the lady's like, well, was it a deer or something? I have no idea. Well, I've lived in South Dakota pretty much my whole life. I've hit multiple deer. I also know, and even if you didn't know, you would just assume it was a deer. So when you're kind of being dodgy about it, and you're like, well, I don't know what I had. It's like, I don't know. Maybe you do know what you had. Because
Yeah, and we'll get into the expert testimony later, later, I'm sure. But Greg, one of the things that makes me kind of have that, feeling is that it's too clean, and then the media came out too clean after it. Like, it reeks of cover up, it reeks of manufactured narrative. And to be honest, I keep saying there's a victim in all this. And hey, just for the record, Jason is more than welcome to join me. I'll talk to him personally if he wants.
Yeah, there's the vehicle.
But I would suggest if he's watching
this,
he should call in or click the link and really, truly, defend yourself. Because this does not look good. Experts have said that there's no chance that he could have not known he hit a person if he was paying attention. There's just no way.
Well, there's no way for him to not have an idea of what he hit. Whatever it was, it hit that corner right there and then went up into his windshield. So if it was a deer or anything big like that, you would assume. You would be like,
another telltale sign that this is a cover-up, in my opinion, is that every time you try to justify and exonerate him with all those what ifs, another piece of fuck come out. I don't know if I can cuss on this podcast now, but another shoot moment. We just found out more information that says that he was lying, or that this isn't what it is. It's a vehicular homicide, and he left the scene. And if it would have been any of us three in that car that night, we'd be sitting in a cage and we'd be indicted by a grand jury. And guess who would be the prosecuting attorney general and giving us the damn death penalty with commercial ad breaks in front of it? Like that guy.
Yeah, my point was, if I was the sheriff of this town and somebody said that they had no idea what they hit, they're getting breathalyzed, period. How do you not know what you hit?
Hey, that's funny story. Have you gotten to that part yet? No. That they gave him they didn't give him a breathalyzer.
We'll get there.
Yeah, let's get past 911 call with the good Lord.
Finish it real quick. We got about a minute left.
How does this guy get exonerated out of all this?
Yeah, it could be. It was right in the roadway, and
right in the roadway. So let's remember that too. He said it was in the middle of the road, and it was right in the roadway.
Well, that'd be why I don't think this video or this 911 call is like a forgery.
Yeah, these are big mistakes to be made.
Yeah, because he actually gets caught lying in this 911 call.
Right. Let's get to it. Come on. We can stop at every statement. It's a lie.
Westbound then?
And we shall.
Westbound back here.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, I will go ahead and let the sheriff know. He's the one that's on call right now. He'll be responding from home, and I'll have him come out.
Again, that's the victim on the screen right there, Joe Bover.
Talk to you. And
resident of Highland. Yep.
Play it off your
Hi, Marmy.
vehicle, Jason.
Yes. G00027.
Okay. Government plate.
Well, it's a Bronze Star plate.
I think CJ could help us out here with this question. What's a Bronze Star plate? Do you know, CJ? CJ, if you don't know, was in the Marines. He's our military expert.
Yeah, maybe wouldn't go or use the word expert, but what I'll say is that he is a Bronze Star recipient, which is a pretty high up there award for the industrial war machine known as the United States military. He's, again, I don't know with this, it leaves the bad taste in your mouth. But this whole thing with I'm the Attorney General, oh, this is a Bronze Star. It's it's more of it's kind of well, I don't know.
Tom says, hit me, typical lawyer.
Oh, did it literally say that it hit me in there? Did I miss that? Oh man, if I missed that,
I think so. Yeah, he does say it. He says it when we refer to what he hit, whatever.
Yeah, right. I mean, so I don't know. Like I said, this one's kind of like, yeah, man, weird credential drop.
Yeah. All right, let's finish. Let's wrap this 911 call up here real quick.
All right, I will get him headed that way for you, Jason.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Bye-bye.
All right, so that was that. So, the sheriff shows up. Let me get my.
I feel like you can listen to his tone of voice, and he can tell that it's serious.
Yeah.
In the 911 call, but she's not taking it very serious because she just thinks it's he hit a deer.
Yeah, it's middle of nowhere.
But you can kind of tell with him the way he's talking, and he keeps repeating himself and stuff. And I feel like he knows it's a lot more serious.
Mm-hmm. So the sheriff shows up. Like CJ was saying, no breathalyzer was given. And this is kind of one of the twists of the story. The sheriff actually borrowed Ravnsborg his personal vehicle to continue driving to Pier. So I don't know if there's any precedent for that ever happening, because
well, I mean, he is the Attorney General Bronze Star recipient. You know, he is royalty in the Queen of Meth court. I mean, yeah.
Like, you wouldn't want to mess with this guy if you were just some cop. You know, this guy could ruin your career. Like,
right. So, do you think that it's one of those things where, you know, the officer felt obligated?
Yeah, I think so personally. Yeah.
I mean, that's a question. These are all questions that we want. Like, we should have statements in this and bullet points, and then like questions that come from this. And that's one of those questions. Like, did he order it, or did the officer offer it? Like, what was the chain of custody there of that vehicle?
I didn't catch that last part. What was the last thing you said?
What was the chain of custody of that police
vehicle?
vehicle?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it just went straight to wanting to go to the Department of Criminal Investigation, which is what the Attorney General is in head of.
Yeah.
What is this?
You know, it's so nice to be on a StreamYard show that you don't have to produce. I'm just gonna say that I'm enjoying it being a guest.
Well, thank you, Devin, for playing host and producer all at one time.
Yeah, no problem. I got this.
Tough job, man. I know how hard it is.
So this statement came out like 2 days later when everybody was wondering, like, was he drinking? Like, what was going on? How did he hit this guy? And he decided that he was going to release a statement. So I can, I suppose I'll just go through and read some of it. Unless somebody else wants to do the honors.
No, go ahead, man. I was just going to say, like, you got to get it all on the record, man.
As reported by many news outlets, I was involved in an accident on Saturday, September 12th, 2020, that tragically involved a pedestrian who was walking on Highway 14 near Highmore, South Dakota. So we consider this first statement. I mean, should we get to what we know already, or should we wait till the end to bust out that information? Because let's just do it now. Joe Bover, he was not walking on the highway. He was like way off on the side of the highway. So let's go through this some more here. I have not made a statement before now because the matter is being investigated by the South Dakota Highway Patrol and the North Dakota Bureau of Criminal Investigation. Does that comfort you guys, knowing that North Dakota is investigating besides South Dakota? Because, I mean, personally, I don't really see a difference.
Well, North Dakota wouldn't be allowed. They can't bring charges anyways. So all they could do is investigate, but they have no ability to charge Jason Ravnsborg, and they're not gonna.
Yeah, North Dakota is just like South Dakota. It's a Republican one-party state. It's like that doesn't give me any confidence that the investigation is going to be done thoroughly to bring in North Dakota of all states. Like I'd more likely trust I don't even know any other state but a neighboring state. Okay, we'll continue reading. And I want to respect that process and let it happen without any interference or appearance of impropriety on my part. Well, that you're not doing a very good job. Anyhow, however, it has come to my attention that there are many rumors and stories being told and reported which do not represent the full and factual account of what happened. For this reason, I'm issuing this statement, but will not answer any questions about this matter until the official investigation is complete. Well,
This is some lawyering attorney bullshit mumbo jumbo.
I would even argue that the investigation, like, what is left to be complete? Like, I know we haven't gone through all the evidence, so those listening might not have heard all of it yet. But you know, this investigation is basically completely done. And I don't even know why.
Yeah, what could you possibly be?
What else do you need to investigate? It's like that one meme where it's like, we're already pulled over. We can't pull over any farther. It's like, the investigation's done. It can't be investigated anymore. Like, we know, like, there's.
I don't know. Congress can drag out an investigation for like 2-3 years.
Right? So. Well, the only reason I can think of that they would want to keep the investigation going is that they're trying to find any sliver of anything to keep charges from being filed against this guy. Just anything random that they can't even fathom yet, because there's nothing really to fathom. I looked around the vehicle in the dark and saw nothing to indicate what I had hit. Really.
You know, Devin, in all honesty, you've given him the invitation. I would just share this link out for people to read his own words. Go see what the investigators actually had to say. Because the lies in here get.
Oh, no, we got to catch him at his lies. We got to read through most of the
All right. If you want to name every lie, man, I'm going to have to get a book for a second part of this show, man.
All I could see were pieces of my vehicle laying on and around the roadway. Because it was dark, I didn't have a flashlight. I used my cell phone flashlight to survey the ditch, but couldn't see anything.
Yeah, so I got a statement on this because I heard this too, and I repeated this to somebody, and their question to me was, do you think that the victim here was still alive when or after being struck? And when did the victim die in the process? Because that's
that's important to know.
That's
and we don't know.
Because I mean, if he was out there and he hit and he walked out and the dude's like, "I'm right here, I'm alive," like
people get messed up all the time in like huge traumatic events and they survive. So
right.
I don't see how anybody can just assume that the guy was even deceased right then instantly. Like he probably could have survived the incident had
we not had an incompetent deputy and a lying attorney general.
Yeah, and if you're at a sheriff showing up and you guy says he doesn't know what he hit, like I'm not gonna assume he hit a deer. Like if he doesn't know what he hit, I'm gonna find out what he hit.
That last paragraph in the statement is the worst part because it talks about on Sunday morning, my chief of staff and I left Pier about 8 a.m. I drove to the sheriff's house who borrowed him the car and filled the tank with gas. As we were driving to return the vehicle to the sheriff's house, they saw debris on the road, so they stopped and decided to look for the animal that he thought he hit. And that's when he found the body. And I mean, there's just so many things wrong with that. For you to have been the person that found that body is not right. That's not right at all. And it kind of goes back to my statement about your 911 call that I think you knew you hit something that night. And
but the sheriff's deputy in the next sentence, when one's there, the sheriff's instructed me that he would handle the investigation, and he asked me to return to Pier. That right in itself is that line that is the privileged line. That is we would have been handcuffed. You lied to him. I mean, how did the deputy, like the deputy right now could be almost considered an accomplice, at least gross negligence of duty. I mean, to assume that this guy's just telling you the truth because he said he might have hit a deer. He don't know. I mean, there's no evidence of what he hit. I mean, and you're just going to come on the scene. And I mean, there's just way too many red flags in this one, man.
Yeah. And a little bit above this, it says that the sheriff also looked on the ditch and he didn't find anything either. And it's like, do these people not understand basic physics? Like if you hit something going 65 miles an hour, it's not going to be right next to the car. Like your force is transferred into that person and they're probably like 40 feet up the road in the ditch.
Well, and if I'm correct, I do believe that the sheriff's office does have a flashlight and they are capable of looking.
And by the way, it says
even at nighttime, they are capable of looking in a ditch.
Devin, I can't wait for another half hour to find out that he had a flashlight in his hand when he got hit. So, I mean, like, hello.
You're killing the suspense, CJ. You're killing the suspense here.
Because I know, dude, this ain't a movie. This is somebody actually died. The attorney general is lying. The dude had a flashlight in his hand. So was he still alive? He had a flashlight. Could he have been like, guys, I'm still alive? Maybe they hit him twice to make sure he was out. At what point? Because, I mean, the lies are just so apparent. And if it had been CJ Abernathey, I would have went out there, and he wouldn't have been just getting the keys to go. Like, I mean, we haven't even got to the piss test yet.
Let's bring up the accident image here. This is from the investigators, and this came out a day before the election. So this is what the investigators have determined where Joe Bover and was standing and where the attorney general hit him. And as you can see, Joe Bover is not in the road at all. He's hardly on the shoulder. He's way off the road.
Yeah.
And any competent law enforcement official would be able to tell that Ravnsborg hit him off the road.
Devin, there were tracks.
What do you mean?
There were tracks. When you get to the report, there were tracks. Showing him going off the road.
Yeah. The car tracks. Yeah, exactly. Like you can tell where the brakes were applied, and the brakes were applied when the attorney general was on the shoulder of the road. So
this sheriff needs to be fired immediately.
Yeah, like the sheriff clearly is giving favor to this person because he's the attorney general. He's the top cop in South Dakota. It's like he doesn't know what he hit. So he was distracted. He wasn't paying attention to the road. That he wasn't on the road when he made contact with whatever he hit. A little bit more investigation needs to be done on this scene, including giving him a alcohol content test to see if he's over the legal limit.
But when did that happen, Devin?
But no, the sheriff did not do that. He gave him his personal car instead.
Again,
we'll find out momentarily here.
It's so hard because we know all of this, and just for posterity, we have to get through some of the garbage at the beginning to get through. So if you're just tuning in, folks, here on the second episode of Hedgehog Watchdogs podcast, feel free to call in and join us if you've got something. Don't let it just be us three.
Yeah, call in 605-857-3387. We'll get you on. You don't have to stay on like CJ is. You can call in and we'll.
Yeah, I'm just a guest.
Call and say your couple words and be gone. Like we don't. Anyhow.
Sorry, I'm pitching your show here for you. The executive producer in me.
So yeah, you guys are already on this paragraph here where sheriff borrows him his car. he drove his car to pier. So let's see here.
Yeah, I was already to the part where Ravnsborg came back the next day and found the body.
Okay, yeah, we'll skip to that then. Here we go. Gets to the pier. He comes back. We gotta say when he came back. So he came back at 8. He left pier at 8 in the morning the next day. So just for reference, the crash happened at 10:30. And then at 8 in the morning, he left to go back to Highmore to drop the car back off. And it's about an hour back to Highmore. So he got there like 9. So we're talking 11 hours have gone by until he finds the body. So, why do you guys think he even went looking for a body? Do you think he honestly thought he hit an animal? Would you guys go look for an animal if you hit an animal? Would you go and see?
Was he going
suspicious?
back to it? Okay, so first we have to eliminate all the logical shit before we can get into the weeds specifically on the north shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Did he have to go back and get his personal vehicle? Was he going back to get a tow truck? What was he? Did they leave the vehicle there overnight? And if so, there's a plausible reason why he would return to the scene. But other than that, I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, like he had to return to the scene technically to return the car.
He
But like, why did he
started-
stop? Why did he have to stop and go look in the because he's saying he stopped his car on his way back to give it back to the sheriff. Then he went and examined the ditch again, but this time he found the body.
Yeah. No, I
And
hear
then
what you're saying.
what Greg is bringing up, and instead of him calling 911 right there when he found the body the next morning, he drove back to the sheriff's house with the car, then like reported it to him there at the sheriff's house, which is I don't know. Like I'm not a lawyer or anything, but aren't you supposed to call 911 if you?
He immediately started lawyering himself out of vehicular homicide. That's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He figured out if they can just believe that I thought it was a deer, then I can get away with this. Yeah. I think you have to know that he's going to lawyer his way into what a jury would think, and that's his profession. I mean, that's literally what he does. This is the guy that puts you to death with ad revenue behind it. I mean, so like.
Yeah, and then he finishes off here. He says, "I've been fully cooperating with the investigation and have agreed to a search of both my cell phones and provided a blood draw."
Does
that matter?
After 15 hours, a blood test is irrelevant. They didn't do a piss test, which is like would have been some time to. And all the timelines for when these things would have been legally, admissible, all expired. So even if you had done them post, it wouldn't matter. So magically, there's no blood, urine, or any bodily fluid of Mr. Ravnsborg that night.
Right. So here we have. This is called a.
And he claims no alcohol. So again, like.
This is a.
But even if he was drinking. Even if he was, and
this is an alcohol elimination rate chart. So this is how blood is metabolized in your body. So if we check out this chart here, 8 hours goes by. Basically, you can have as many drinks as you want, or up to 4, I guess. This one goes up to 4. I better get that up, huh? So, if this guy was just plastered, it took about 11 to 12 hours before any blood was drawn. This chart doesn't even go up to 11 or 12 hours. After 8 hours, it's all metabolized out of your bloodstream, even if you're like completely plastered. And I'd like to point out, notice how on the graph, your last drink doesn't fully hit you. You don't peak from your drunkenness until about an hour after your last drink. Well, how far was it from Redfield to Pier? It was about less than 2 hours. So Highmore, if he happened to have his last drink at that bar, he would have been peaking right when we got to Highmore. Like, I'm not saying that's what happened, but it's just circumstantial evidence that maybe he did have that last drink in Redfield right before he left the bar at 9:30.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. He claims no alcohol. He claims that he didn't drink. So, is there anybody that was at the bar? Would the bar owner themselves say that he?
They all say he didn't. So, but this was a Republican fundraising event, so it's like everybody there are his buddies and supporters. But
suspicious. That's all I'll say. I'm actually convenient. How about that?
So we gave him a blood draw. He says he's providing investigative agents with interviews and everything they want. So, let's see here. Where do we go from here then? Let's look up the laws regarding vehicular manslaughter and homicide. Like, what's the difference? What makes the difference? Oh, wait, that's not the right screen. One moment. So, example of involuntary manslaughter versus vehicular homicide. That's what CJ thinks this was. In South Dakota, the crime of vehicular homicide occurs when any person under the influence of alcohol or drugs operates or drives a vehicle in a negligent manner and accidentally causes the death of another person. So, essentially, the difference between a vehicular manslaughter and vehicular homicide is, were you drunk when you killed this person that you hit? Which is probably a big factor going through the attorney general's mind, because he knows this. Like, if he's gonna go down for hitting somebody with his car, he's gonna want to go down for the manslaughter, not the homicide charge.
Right, but here's the thing, Devin, is that vehicular homicides are elements of recklessness and negligence, and so if you're intentionally being negligent and reckless behind the wheel of a vehicle, then it's not involuntary manslaughter. Again, it's not jiving with me. But go ahead and continue.
Yeah, let's see. Involuntary manslaughter. Here's an example. It says a legal activity can result in an involuntary manslaughter charge if the act was carried out recklessly and resulted in another person's death. For example, if the operator of a dangerous roller coaster recklessly fails to ensure that his passengers are securely strapped in and someone dies as a result, the operator may be charged with involuntary manslaughter.
Right.
Penalties here. We got.
Wait, go back. Go back. There's a key point there, though. It's the key difference between involuntary manslaughter and vehicular homicide are elements of recklessness.
Oh, we got a phone caller.
Negligence, meaning
1 second
it was
here.
reckless driving.
I hear it ringing.
Caller, you're on the air. Oh, let me get. Can you hear us, Tom?
We can't hear Tom.
Tom.
Oh, it says missed call. Call again, Tom. Sorry, I didn't get that through fast enough.
You got 5 seconds.
Again, go back to the definitions.
All right.
Reckless and negligence. And he was reckless and negligent. Not only reckless and negligent, he lied about it. And in his lie, you can't say he's the choir boy when clearly he was off the road lying about it. They've lied this entire way. Like, yeah, no, it's vehicular homicide.
What do you
I
think,
would
Greg?
say it's.
Listen, operates influence
involuntary
alcohol
Nope,
or
we got the call.
drugs. No, it's not. No. Listen, it operates under the influence of alcohol or drugs, operates or drives a vehicle in a negligent manner, and accidentally causes the death of another person.
Can you hear me?
That's vehicular homicide.
Yeah, here, I'll put you
It's
on
right
right now. 1 second.
The sentence is right on the screen. It's like, I don't need to explain this any further. It's vehicular homicide. Thank you, Devin.
All right, caller, you're on the air.
Still can't hear him.
Did you hit that button?
You got to hit the
Oh, crap. Here, 1 second. Here, I got to click it. Here, 1 second, Tom. Okay.
Are we going?
Yeah. You guys hear him now?
Are we on?
I can hear him now.
There
Okay.
now.
Yeah, we're on the air. We're live now. I got it. First
Okay.
caller.
Back
Congratulations.
Backing up to the 911 call where he claimed that he had been hit. Pretty hard when there's not enough people around to claim that you've been hit. But I just want to point out that this man is an attorney there. So obviously that would be one of the things he would say. But if you was an attorney who was not guilty of something and you had a camera phone, you would also be taking a whole bunch of pictures when you was out there just to make sure that you had all your bases covered.
Yeah.
Not taking pictures kind of leaves an open spot for that he probably did it or he probably actually knew more than what he was letting on.
That's a good point. Well, thanks for calling. Let's see here.
Thanks, Tom.
Let's go back to.
By the way, the definition's on the screen. The sentence there, if you want to highlight it and read it, and if everybody reads it, it means the same thing. Like, it's vehicular homicide.
Okay, we got this covered. So let's see. Let's go through one of the articles that I have in my notes here. Let's go through. I think this is a good one here.
What's up?
Feel free to keep talking while I'm looking for stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm just reading some comments here. Adam Jules in the comments.
Oh, yeah, comments. You got to go to comments, man. I'm sorry.
Nah, man, you got a lot going on. It would be easy to tell. What?
Let's go to comments first, and we'll hit this article up.
Oh, dang. Greg's like, I gotta go to the bathroom again.
Looks clean, fellas. Good job. Thank you, Roger.
Good job.
Adam Jewel. Oh, hey, guys. What's up, Adam? Our guest from the episode number 1. Tom says, I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt until investigation said he hit a pedestrian on the shoulder. At that point, he should have been booked and arrested. I agree. I don't know why he's not arrested now. Like, do you have confidence in the judicial system, CJ? If our attorney general is able to just walk free and protect somebody?
No. Do you have competence in the government in general? No. No. Not just this.
Tom says, I guess tow trucks and sheriff's cars no longer have like really bright spotlights on them.
Wow.
Exactly. Like, there's no excuse for this body not being found that night. Like, you had enough information to, do like a way more thorough search and like searching right by the car. Like, you're not going to find a body there.
He had a more believable story saying he hit Sasquatch than he hit anything.
Yeah. Colin Max says possibility that the body was moved. That was what I was considering when you first hear about the story. It's like, why? Because the attorney general was the one who found the body. Like, the person who committed the crime is the one who found the body first. So, and instead of calling 911, he just went to the sheriff's house. So, like, could he have moved the body? I mean, if anything, he would have wanted to move it away from the ditch. more or something, or maybe
Yeah,
moved it towards the, or
you
maybe
say
yeah.
what is he gonna do? Like drag it out to the middle of the road, though? I mean, again, it's so morbid. It's so morbid at this point.
Adam Jewell says, "Aren't Bishop Henchman and Sarwark lawyers? We should have them look over the documents." Yeah, I mean, I know Bishop Henchman's a tax attorney and Sarwark's a defense attorney, so
I think, you guys should reach out to Nick Sarwark and say, "Hey, man, like, how do you defend this?" Like,
yeah.
I mean, listen, hey, just for the record, no, I don't think any of us here, correct me if I'm wrong, are advocating that this guy only deserves due process. Like, that's what he should be getting, is due process in this whole thing.
Yeah, that's what anybody is really saying. We just want to see us go to a jury trial, and jury can decide what to do with this guy. Like, we're not saying anything other than that. Like, we feel like there's way more evidence, and if it was any one of us, they'd have enough evidence on us to press us with charges.
Oh no, you guys would be watching our death penalty with ads run in between.
Mm-hmm.
If it was us.
Tom says 40 feet. That would mean he hit him at about 80 miles per hour.
Oh, he was
speeding.
speeding.
It's like, like if you hit somebody at 40 miles an hour, they're going to go like 20 to 40 feet even then forward. So it's not like and you can even look at the damage in the car even, so you know that they're probably going to be further in the ditch because he hit the side of the car.
Well, they're going to be further in the ditch because he was on the side of the road when he hit him.
Yeah.
You know, and they didn't know that at first when he said, "Oh, it's the middle of the road." Well, but if you hit him on the side of the road, heck, you could have threw that in a farmer's field.
The report doesn't say anything about the tweet he had that night. Do you guys familiar with the tweet that he had that night?
No,
I am not familiar. This is new.
Better call in and tell us about it.
Yeah, call in and tell us about it, or send it to Devin.
Yeah, if anybody sends me a link to this tweet, I'll put it up on the screen.
Devin will get you a Hedgehog Watchdog t-shirt coming soon. He'll love you forever. I'm gonna start giving away t-shirts on your show.
The sheriff part in relation to the AG, I would have to call police privilege. Yeah. I mean, this guy, if he wants to advance politically, he's not going to mess with the Attorney General of South Dakota, who's his upper dog. Driving on the shoulder of the road could potentially be negligent. Yeah. Exactly, like
potentially. No. Oh God.
But yeah, like there's no getting out of, I accidentally hit somebody with a car. That's a crime. There's no, we're gonna drop charges because it was an accident. That's not how the law works.
No. You know what? Let's just trade in that Attorney General card and get out of jail free. Like, come on, get the fuck out of here. Oh, sorry, pardon my French.
Way to go, CJ. We're gonna have like 2-day podcast and we're done.
Well, we haven't got to UFOs yet, so you guys are still safe on YouTube.
Cheney is at it again. Yes. Or Janklo, I would say Janklo is at it again myself. Tom says that, like, move it 40 feet off the road. I wonder if he's talking about when I was reading the body comment. But yeah, all good comments. Thanks for commenting on our post. Let's go back to this.
The story of Jason Ravnsborg.
Crash Experts. This is from South Dakota News Watch, written by Bart Bankhook. I hope I pronounced that right. Sorry if I didn't. But Crash Experts question Ravnsborg car deer explanation to raise concerns of distracted driving.
Well, they actually did say that it wasn't concerns. I thought they did come out and say he was distracted driving.
I think this might have been come out like a couple days before. If one of you guys want to bust out like a newer article.
Well, just any Google search of Ravnsborg, pretty much every headline says, what was I going to say? every headline says distracted driving. So I guess I should actually read more than just the headline, but when a dozen of them are telling you the same thing, it kind of
let's look up. Okay, let's just go through this here. Okay, we got the victims. Let's see if I can. It would be easy to tell the difference. Even at 100 miles per hour, you would be able to tell the difference between an erect human versus a deer, no question. And that would be part of the investigation of Mr. Ravnsborg. Says Kurt Wise, accident reconstruction report.
You know what? This is where I'm talking about right here. It took us 57 minutes to get to this point to say.
Hey, I'm gonna be back. I'll be back in like 15
way.
seconds. You guys take over for like 15 seconds.
Oh, jeez. Okay, there goes Devin. It's you and me now, Greg.
Podcast is going now.
It's your show. What do we do?
Well, for me, so I mean, I was kind of gonna leave this for a closer, but for me, I think regardless of him being charged with a crime, I think the right thing to do, he should have resigned already. Like that should have happened weeks ago. And they can let these investigations play out, and they can let the courts decide what they're going to decide. I have actually seen cases similar. A case a couple years ago down by Yankton, where a guy was ran over in the middle of the night coming home, and I can't remember how long it took. It took like a month or two for them to even find the person that was responsible for running over that guy. And at the end of the day, there were no charges filed in that case. And I thought that was really weird. And they refused to even release the name of the person that had that had ran over the person.
So there's cover-ups of cover-ups is what I keep saying.
There's a precedent for not getting convictions on this stuff. Yeah, I don't. That case always stuck out in my mind because it made no sense that they refused to release the name of the person that did it. It's like, well, who does he know? Who's that guy?
All right, so further in this article, it says it would be clear negligence on the part of the driver.
There's that word negligence again. I think we find that under vehicular homicide.
Nope. It's under both manslaughter and homicide. If a pedestrian is walking on the shoulder, there's some kind of a reliance on their part that they're in a safer area. So this was said by John Detch. He's a reconstruction expert interviewed by South Dakota Newswatch. Here we go. This is probably important. This is like what a lot of people were talking about. Like if you hit a deer, there'd be deer for. I know my father was a body shop worker and he dealt with cars that run into deers all the time, and it's got deer for every single time. Like if you hit a deer, there's no you hit a deer and there's no fur from the animal stuck in your car in like a million different places. But he says Wise further said that the broken windshield of Ravnsborg's 2011 Ford Taurus would likely have contained clothing fibers, human hair, or hair that could have indicated to Ravnsborg or the Hyde County Sheriff Mike Volek. Mike Volek, by the way, the sheriff, he's not talking to anybody. Like he hasn't answered any questions from any journalist.
That's why we need a trial with subpoena power where we can say, hey, we need a grand jury indictment to get this power here, because otherwise you're going to keep hearing the sheriff's not talking to anybody, and there's some real big questions we got to ask.
Tom says, you need gross negligence to sue federal employees. Don't know if state is the same. What's the difference between regular negligence and gross negligence? One's more negligent than the other. Yeah. Let's see here. Likewise, a deer would have left hair, hide, bone fragments in the broken windshield or in front of the car to indicate an animal was stuck. Yeah, like let's go back to that car again. Like,
It looks like it's been washed. Like there's nothing on the car. Right? When you look at it, there's no blood, there's no.
Where did I have it? Oh, I must have had it up in a browser here. Just 1 second.
I mean, and then we get called conspiracy theorists. You see this? Like this is just ridiculous.
So it does appear, so you can kind of see right there that it almost looks like something entered the vehicle when he hit it. Like he hit it, bounced off here, and went in the vehicle. I mean, does that look? Oh, wait, I'm zooming in on the wrong thing. Sorry. Oh, that's as far as I can go. But yeah, like right there. Right there. It looks like there's a big hole on the windshield.
Yeah, the wife was trying to say there was underground photos, but I don't know where those.
There is zero chance. The expert said this. We don't need to say it. The expert said this. So again, what other point do we need to make on this?
Let's see. Jagged glass edge is going to catch some fibers, and for me, as an experienced reconstructionist, if you look at the glass edge, you know the difference between a human and a deer. It would be very apparent, Wise says. So, you know, they're basically saying what everybody's thinking, because it's basically common knowledge. The only thing that's thrown a wrench in everybody's gear is the guy was the attorney general. He's got military accolades. He's one of the top Republicans. I would say the attorney general is number 2 underneath Kristi Noem. Like, he's the number 2 Republican in the entire state.
Just for the record, if this had been me and I had lied like this, you all would have burned me at the stake. And so again, like there's military service, accolades, position. It's all relative to who is, your boss, where you are in government. Like there's a difference. So yeah, no, military service aside, everybody knows that when you drive a vehicle in the state of South Dakota and you go off the road and you're distracted and you hit somebody, that's vehicular homicide. It always has been. It always will be. And
if you look at that,
lie about it, then you're only digging your hole deeper.
If you look at that picture right there on screen too, you can see how wide those shoulders are.
Yeah,
so for him to have hit somebody on the side.
You know what? Here's what we got to do. We got to drive. Like, I guess I'm the closest one. We got to drive to that spot and find the flowers that are there, I'm sure, and see how far off the road it was for yourself. But
yeah, here's a different angle of the car. Like, you can clearly see a huge gaping hole right there in his windshield. Like, how did that damage get made unless what the body of the person of Joe
like you would have heard screaming. You would have heard something. Like there's a flashlight. Again, spoiler alert, folks. He has a flashlight when he's hit.
Mm-hmm.
If I see a car coming off the shoulder and I got a flashlight, you can bet I'm waving a flashlight. I don't think deer wave flashlights.
Oh, we got another guest joining. Let's British B, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Hello, I see he's on about construction workers and in car crashes. So what's the subject of today?
Apparently our attorney general was in a car accident where he killed somebody on September 14th. And it's basically dragging out this investigation as long as it takes. They haven't pressed charges.
Oh, he'll get away with it. Don't worry about it. He'll get off it anyway. Don't worry about it. It's just Americans, aren't they? They look after each other in all the back pockets. So that conversation's boring. Next.
Okay.
So what do you feel about
this guy? I like this guy.
What do you feel about hiding children in your basement?
Ooh, don't like that.
We're about to get censored on YouTube. Stand by in 3, 2, 1. We're censored.
I'm joking. I'm joking, lads.
Let's talk about Wayfair and Epstein, I guess.
Yeah, we jump right into Epstein.
That's
like,
good. What's that picture behind you? A good picture, that.
Oh, well, whose screen are you looking at?
Not yours.
Sorry.
But anyways,
Everyone's like,
Yeah, you want about
do you have
these
anything to say
construction
about
workers?
that?
Yeah.
Well, what about
Why did you say
construction
he
work?
had big shoulders? Sorry. Why did you say he had big shoulders? Did you fancy him something? There's something you need to tell each other.
the shoulders of the road where the attorney general committed vehicular homicide by hitting a man and killing that man are pretty wide shoulders, and you'd have to be pretty negligent there, British B, if you are that far off the road hitting a human being in the middle of nowhere, South Dakota.
Well, if you have a few whiskeys, you're attorney general, and you manage to fucking swerve off the road and kill some cunt, doesn't really matter. You're attorney general. They're going to fucking look after you anyway, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is the
Just
guy.
going to get swept underneath the carpet.
Hey, thanks for calling in, British
for
B.
calling in, British B.
Call in
Appreciate it.
again sometime, man. You're awesome. Dude,
I
want that guy on my show to call in randomly. What a great guy that guy is.
Okay.
I just liked his name because it reminded me of Half Baked, with the guy's name was Cuban B.
Why you telling everybody he got big shoulders? Like, yeah, all right. Okay. Wide shoulders, or whatever he said.
All right. So, let's see here.
Ooh, wait, Governor Kristi Noem, get to her response in this just for the record. What did she do?
She's not really talking at all about this case. I think she said in the last press conference that she hasn't even spoken to Jason Ravnsborg other than the night that he got into the accident.
Yeah.
I've tried to find a press conference that wasn't like 30 minutes long to share, but wasn't able to before the show started.
Is that call between the governor and the attorney general available for public record?
I mean, maybe, I don't know. Could be like, you should file a Freedom of Information Act and see.
Well, I think there's smarter people than me that are like all about that life. That's what I would do. Smarter people than CJ Abernathey.
I think here's an important part of the factor we haven't discussed yet.
Yeah.
He's got, 3 speeding tickets in the last 6 years, 2 in Iowa, apparently. So it's like this guy's he's basically got the same history Bill Janklow had, where he doesn't follow traffic laws himself.
Listen, as a man who hates my speed limits, because as a libertarian, I don't think the government should tell me how fast I can go. But with that being said, there is a expectation that when you're the man that is enforcing the laws up to and including the death penalty, that you follow them. And he didn't, and he needs to resign. He needs to do his best to save his dignity at this point, because I mean, look, those are the tracks. Those are the tracks. Like, come on, you guys. Like, as we get further through this, it's almost so disheartening, because you don't want to root for somebody committing vehicular homicide. Like, there's not a joy in this. There's a dead person in this.
So here we go. It says the skid marks at the scene of the accident on US 14 west of Highmore appear to show that the right tire of the car was driven by South Dakota Attorney General Jason Ravnsborg was on the shoulder of the road and not in the travel lane when braking began. And that photo's from Nick Lowry from South Dakota News Watch. So he wasn't on the road.
Yeah, they don't have those little rumble strips on the side, I see.
That is not an excuse.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, you can see them. If you zoom in right here.
Yeah.
You barely see them a little bit right there.
So how much do you have to drink in order to not notice the rumble strips that far off. Like I said, it's just disheartening because you don't like I said, like who's rooting for this? Like I think all of us would have preferred that no vehicular homicide had been committed.
So this is what the traffic investigator or one of the reconstruction experts says. He says that if Bover was wearing dark clothing and walking in the traffic lane, it is possible Ravnsborg could have struck him and not known he hit a person. Well, let's see here. We've got the
No,
exactly where he was.
No, that's not the whole statement. So it is possible that Ravnsborg could have struck him and not known he hit a person, and his culpability would be reduced. So again, he knew that his culpability would be reduced. So think backwards, man. Think like an attorney. Think backwards.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what was probably going through Ravnsborg. Says that's why he said in that 911 call, he said the person was in the middle of the road. But you can see from
how far is the middle of the road?
You can see that the victim clearly was not in the middle of the road. The victim not only, like, I don't know what color of clothing he had, but he was carrying a flashlight.
It does not,
a bright flashlight.
It doesn't matter the color of clothing. Was it a little irresponsible? Sure. Like if I'm wearing all black, like I am now. Yeah, it might be a little irresponsible, but there is no assumed responsibility to wear colors like that. I mean, for somebody just walking.
Here we go.
Again,
but if the evidence shows that Bover was on the highway shoulder or in the ditch when struck, which the evidence does show, that's a whole different matter, and then you need to begin to look at distractions.
Right, and there you go, and that's where we keep getting into the culpability.
Mm-hmm.
And so start thinking backwards. He thinks that, okay, if I just come up with this narrative, it's going to work. But again, it's not there, man.
There we go. Greg was bringing this up. Desch said the culpability of Ravnsborg increases if Bover was on the shoulder of the road when struck, which he was, especially since Ravnsborg would have heard the loud sounds from the rumble strips cut into the pavement just off the travel lane and would likely have looked up. So he's making an argument that Ravnsborg, like from what I'm reading and gathering, I think he's making an argument that Ravnsborg would have had to have seen what he hit, and he lied about not knowing it was a body.
I mean, I said this at the beginning of the show, though. I mean, it's like spoiler alert. It's tough. Mm-hmm. So the fact that the three of us who are in the political party in this state, that we are questioning these people, they're not coming out with any of what we would expect to be normal responses had it been any of us three or anyone else for that matter. So, I mean, how long do you think until the gig is up? I mean, at this point, the gig is up. The further reading that we go into this, all it's going to do is get further more into, you can't exonerate this guy. He's guilty of negligent vehicular homicide, and everybody and their mother can tell the difference between a deer and a person in a Ford Taurus. Like, they're kind of like designed that way. If you're paying attention, they got this big ass windshield, and like, I mean, my mom used to have one. Like,
yeah, and then let's see, Wise goes on to say, like, a low profile vehicle such as a Ford Taurus would tend to sweep a person or a deer onto the hood and into the windshield, which would have made it easier to identify what object was present. So, like, we have the picture. We know. Look here, I'll bring it back up again. Yeah, we'll definitely bring it back up again. Let's look at this picture. There we go.
This is why I'm a big fan of dash cams, man. Dash cams can exonerate you.
It's like, we know the victim. Like, it's almost kind of appearing that the body was in the windshield, and Ravnsborg removed the body from the windshield and hid the body before calling the police. That's what it looks like. There's a hole in the windshield. The way his voice sounds when he's calling, he's way more nervous than somebody. You know, I know, like, when you hit a deer, like, yeah, your blood's probably rushing, your adrenaline's probably rushing because you hit something. But your adrenaline would be rushing way more, kind of like what he sounded like if you hit a person, you know, and you just removed that body from your windshield and you threw it into a ditch. He's probably even rolling through what to say in his head over and over when he calls 911.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. So how many more nails in this coffin do we need to put? Pun intended.
We got a bunch of. I still got a few things I was gonna bring. I was gonna bring up, some background on who our Attorney General was when he basically was. What's that?
Memorialize the guy, like.
No, I'm bringing up the legislative session where he threatened all our legislators.
Oh yeah, get to that
money.
one. Yeah, get to that one.
Yeah, if you want to do, let's just do that now.
Yeah, get to it. It's relevant.
So,
I mean, again,
if you want to know who our Attorney General was, he was the top general trying to promote civil asset forfeiture. We had a bill that went past the committee and went to a vote on whether South Dakota would end civil asset forfeiture. And that, if you don't know what that is, that's basically where the cops, they find any amount of, like, they find some weed in your car, they're going to take your whole car. And that's that. And they're calling it civil asset forfeiture. If you were using your car for the commission of a crime, that's now government property, and they're going to auction that off. So Ravnsborg was the guy that was advocating to continue this. And let's listen to what he has to say. This is who this guy was. Essentially, I think this is a good personality test or whatever you want to call it. Timestamp 1 hour and 42 minutes. Okay, so I think it's right here. Okay, and I'm going to stop there and then pull it up on the screen real quick. Go. All right.
We can make those arguments.
Do you guys hear that? You hear that, CJ?
This is something that is a very positive step, and we would urge your support based off of what my clients have seen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Further proponent testimony on Senate Bill 172. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'm Steve Siegel, and I'm the registered lobbyist for the South Dakota Trial Lawyers Association, and we too rise in support of Senate Bill 172 as amended. The law is creating significant hardships. We'll need to be able to go to treatment and do the things that they need to do, like Mr. Nelson talked about. So I'd ask you to please support this bill and vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Further proponent testimony. Further proponents. Hearing none, opponent testimony.
Okay, here we go.
Mr. Attorney General.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jason Ravnsborg, Attorney General of South Dakota. I could not agree on a bill more. If they say this is not a huge substantive change, I strongly disagree. I do not believe this is a modest or a pragmatic change. This ends civil forfeiture. It ends the drug control fund. I think they've been misleading about the Timms case. We have a state Supreme Court case that addressed this in 2014, which is State of South Dakota versus 2011 White Forest River Troy trailer, and it talked about what the standards were for excessive. Most of the Timms case was about the 14th Amendment and did it apply to the states or not. Okay. This would substantially undercut law enforcement. Law enforcement, by ending the drug control fund, first off, crime does pay under this bill. If you go to Section 9 of the bill, the fines of the drug proceeds are paid with the money that they have obtained. Second, the drug control fund goes away. The fund is eliminated because all the funds go to the education system. This hampers law enforcement greatly. Over the last 4 years, from 2015 to 18, approximately $119,000 was used for drug buy money. This is money that we use to buy drugs from drug dealers in making cases. This is not something that we can do and we need a short amount of time when you're going to make a buy. So you do not have months or weeks to come to a committee to ask for money.
Hold up. The government of South Dakota taxes you money to buy drugs. Am I the only one that caught this?
What did he say?
That they need your money. They need your money, okay? So that they can buy drugs from drug dealers.
That's what he said. Yeah. That's exactly what he said. He needs to steal your property if they catch you with weed on the road or in your house or anything. They need to steal your property.
So they can buy drugs from drug dealers. Like that, listen, if I was like, hey mom, I need money to buy drugs from drug dealers, that's what the Attorney General just said. Yeah. We take your tax dollars and we buy drugs from drug dealers.
Yep.
That we could give you, but I'll give you just a couple. Here has to be tied to the case. We have a case where
and I just want to point out one more thing too. The civil asset forfeiture money in South Dakota currently all goes to law enforcement. Like nothing goes to anybody else. So when they steal someone's property because they have drugs, that gives an incentive to the police officers to keep doing it and do it even more and to be more strict about it. Even if they found, I know I mentioned this in the last episode, but there was a semi-truck driver who had a bag of weed with a little residue in his glove compartment, and they confiscated his entire semi-truck, $75,000, I think it was worth.
I went to a little protest in Gettysburg where a county sheriff told me they don't care about cannabis anymore, and they only care about meth and really hard drugs and crimes that actually cause victims. So anything about like cannabis prohibition and things like that and the war on drugs is all facade for racketeering and for-profit prison systems. And really, it's really sad that
Tom says they can't get money anywhere else.
It's really sad that they get to take our tax dollars and buy drugs, but you can't take your tax dollars and buy drugs from drug dealers.
Yeah, it's pretty outrageous. It's really outrageous. And we're just getting warmed up. We're not even into the meat and potatoes of his testimony is. Let's continue.
Would have been pled a meth felony case. We allowed the person to plead to a DUI and a probation violation, so they got a better deal than they would have gotten if we would have here been forced to bring a drug case. If we tied it to the drug crime, they got a lesser charge here to be able to use the assets that was so seized. Here it raises the standard, not only a conviction, then moves into the second stage from preponderance of evidence, clear and convincing. Section 12 severely hampers our interactions with law enforcement. They talk about how we didn't have a large equitable share cases.
You want something to say, CJ?
Yeah, this is great content. The Attorney General just has so many juicy subjects. We're getting rid of qualified immunity, civil asset forfeiture. We're getting rid of all these things that my libertarian ears are like, fuck yeah, like this is sounding like some good things that are going to happen. And this guy's like, we can't allow this to happen. And next thing you know, oh man. Okay. How did he say it there? Oh shit. Maybe it's the drugs. Man. It blows my mind how this guy is talking about, levels of evidence, preponderance, and he says it moves to a clear and convincing standard of evidence because their whole judicial system is based upon preponderance, and it's not based on actual, due process of law because nobody in South Dakota, including the Queen of Meth, knows what due process actually is, and what's the really sad part is that he's explaining evidentiary standards right here. I mean, nobody's catching.
Let's move on with the audio.
Take the horse.
With law enforcement quite regularly. we have a policy that they are encouraging us to send them all the fentanyl cases. And we do that because they got mandatory minimums and other strenuous punishments under those type of cases. Well, we had a case out of the Mitchell Chamberlain area where there was 20,000 tablets of fentanyl seized. So first we have the Section 12 issue. Next we have that they also seized $500,000. Under Section, I believe, 13, it would not have met one of the state criteria under this bill. And so if we're being discouraged from handing cases over to the feds, I think that hampers law enforcement greatly. Cost to the county. We pay, on average, $173,000 a year out of the drug control fund to each for the county's drug and alcohol treatment cost of the testing. Next.
I just want to point out that like if you want to watch this link, I can put it in the description of the video, but
yeah, I don't
he's basically bringing up like the one case where, you know, like a fentanyl, $500,000. Like, yeah, not trying to advocate for people, you know, like if you're selling fentanyl, like you probably don't.
Well, that's the problem with civil asset. The problem with civil asset forfeiture in general is that that's what it was sold as.
Yeah.
It's like, look, we're going after the Nino Browns. We're going after the Pablo Escobars. We're going after, but that's not how it's used.
Yeah.
The state of South Dakota is using it to go after just drug users. And they're
like
using it to steal their property.
If you listen to the first hour and a half of this audio, you're going to listen to all these defense attorneys talking about how their clients had their property taken for petty offenses like having a little bit of weed and everything. So they're not just using this for fentanyl. They've already expanded it to like any drug. If you have any drug, they're taking your property, or you're going to have to fight for it in court.
Well, just remember, it's the drugs that they determine that are legal or illegal.
Yeah.
It's subjective.
And anyways, like if you're selling fentanyl, like you don't need to have civil asset forfeiture. Like you can, like basically all this bill did was it made your civil asset forfeiture case went to the criminal courts instead of a civil court. So like you'd have to be proven guilty of selling the fentanyl to lose your $500,000. And you know, if you did it like that, then you're gonna get rid of all of the people that get caught up in it that aren't really like hardcore drug kingpins, that are just casual users getting their property stolen. You're like, that's not gonna. Let's continue.
The drug funds are used to put assets back into your communities to help you in fighting drugs in each one of your communities.
By buying drugs, that's how you're gonna. By using the drug money you confiscate to buy drugs, you're going to help South Dakota communities. Okay.
So we went through and for Senator Northrup, $106,000 in the last 4 years has gone back.
Here we go. This is where he threatens every legislator that's listening to arguments on this bill. He goes down and names every legislator, like what district they're in and how much money they're going to lose from stolen property if they vote for this.
In your community, Senator Rush, $42,000 has gone back into your community. Senator Kennedy, approximately $98,000. Senator Stalzer, $134,000. Senator Schoenbeck, $64,000. Senator Blair, $21,000. And Senator Russell, now I know we don't have all of Pennington, but we put Pennington, Rapid City in there. So yours is approximately $363,000. These are all
stealing a lot.
They're just explaining the racketeering. That's all it is. Like this is just explain the racket, Jason. Please
stealing a lot from the Native Americans out in Rapid City and bragging about it.
Yeah.
They've diverted the funds to another place, which is the education fund. So the appropriators are going to have to come up with approximately.
By the way, this is a budget, so they're expected to continue to keep doing this shit just to make sure the money keeps coming in.
Yeah, they're addicted to it. They're addicted to it, like the drug themselves.
That's why for
like a
profit
drug,
reason,
right? They're addicted to violating the Constitution like it's a drug.
Or to fund this program and all the assets that your communities need. This is not a simple overhaul. This is like the laundry list of overhaul. And I guess I would also caution you that anytime these outside groups rate us a D-, they made the criteria so you can always find the result you want. I have made reforms since coming into office. We have monthly meetings about these. I have cleaned up the cars that we had sitting around the state.
Well, so he's got experience cleaning up cars, so.
As was said, the website is transparent and has where all these various specific
Claims he's transparent. I don't know about that.
grants have been going. Also, all the numbers that I've given you are all easily found on the website. I think it's also misleading that they didn't tell you, a few states have put some of these. This is like the laundry list of everything. And there's 35 states that are more similar to South Dakota than the states that they've outlined. So we would strongly ask you to defeat this bill. I can give you hundreds of more examples of why, but I think in the essence.
That is the battle lines right there. When they say that, but when they do that about law and they testify in this manner.
If I was a legislator sitting on that panel, I'd be like, no, I've got time. We've all got time. Let's listen. Yeah, I want to listen to 100 examples that you just claimed. Like, all 100 of them. I'm not even playing. Like, do you actually have 100 examples, or are you just exaggerating?
Well, he said it right away at the beginning. One of the first clips he said, no, policing, or he said, no, in this case, crime does pay. It's like, so that's exactly what this all is about, is that you want crime to pay you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happens when you're in the racketeering business?
Yeah, that's the end of it.
Expose it yourself, like he did that for a specific reason, man. He was intentionally explaining the racket, and then it was a beautiful display of explain the racket. It's called How They Take Your Money and Why They Enjoy Doing It.
Okay, and then this is where we're at today. It just came out, like I said, on the day before the election. The last press conference, last news reports was that the Attorney General was distracted when he struck and killed a pedestrian. And I don't know if you guys want to listen to, this is a 20-minute video.
Just pick some random spot, because we're the queen of
let's listen to what Christy Nomas said. I think she only speaks in the beginning.
Yeah, she normally passes off responsibility and blame.
1 sec here. I got to change this to audio.
No. She's good at passing responsibility and blame and not accepting it.
Let's see what our governor has to say about this whole incident.
This is the last. I absolutely do despise and loathe this woman.
All right, let's play this video.
Good morning. Today I am joined.
Can you guys hear it?
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Secretary Craig Price. Several weeks ago, I asked Secretary Price to oversee this investigation, which he has reported directly to me. As a reminder, the North Dakota Bureau of Criminal Investigation, the Ramsey County Coroner in Minnesota, and an independent crash investigator.
By the way, I probably should point out, this is from Argus Leader, published by Joe Sneeve.
From Wyoming have supported and worked with Secretary Price and his team throughout the investigation. Although there are a few remaining things that still need to be done, much of the investigation is complete. And I'm going to ask Secretary Price to walk you through the remaining items that we can release today.
And man, it's just a constant berate of I can't answer this question, I can't answer that question. Pointless.
Good morning. As the governor said, I'm Craig Price, and I'm the Cabinet Secretary for the South Dakota Department of Public Safety. I want to update you on the investigation regarding the September 12, 2020 crash near Highmore, South Dakota, where the pedestrian, Mr. Joseph Beaver, was struck by a vehicle driven by the...
Oh, Beaver. I've been pronouncing that wrong this whole episode. Sorry.
Rest in peace.
Attorney General Jason Ravnsborg. Today, we have some additional information to share. Although there are a few remaining things to be done, as the governor stated, much of the investigation is complete. As stated earlier, Pennington County State's Attorney Mark Vargo, Beetle County State's Attorney Mike Moore, and Minnehaha County State's Attorney Crystal Johnson are assisting the Hyde County Deputy State's Attorney Emily Sovell to review the facts of this investigation. Before I provide the additional information, I want to express my appreciation
That's all this is.
for the public's patience while we conduct this investigation. Today, we are releasing two things: the State of South Dakota crash report and a photo of Jason Ravnsborg's vehicle.
Where's his
Please
mugshot?
note that the photograph of the vehicle.
All right. Well, we already saw those two things, so I don't think we have to listen to the 20 minutes of this.
Where's the mugshot? That's the only relevant question.
But here we go. We got.
I pissed off a cop in North Carolina once by hurting his feelings and got a mugshot. This dude literally committed vehicular homicide and does not have a mugshot yet. Like, come on, people. Let's get with the times now. Come on.
Okay, so we got investigators have been sharing their findings throughout the process with the Hyde County State's Attorney's Office, which will ultimately determine whether or not to bring charges.
This ultimately determines their incompetency at this point.
Prosecutors from Rapid City, Sioux Falls, and Huron are assisting the Hyde County State's Attorney. I don't know how much assistance does the guy like. How much assistance do you need?
Have done more investigative journalism.
Like, we know, we know, like that the guy is like. All we're asking again is that he go to a jury trial and have a jury see the evidence and decide what to do with him. Like there's no way to get around him going to a trial.
Due process. That's all.
Beaver's
okay, now here's a bigger question. Okay, would this restore your faith in government and in that racket known as government if they did, take him to jury trial? Like if they did arrest him and book him and treat him like
bit, maybe slightly more.
Would you feel like your government is really getting better? Like I'm not buying it either way, man.
Let's go through some comments real quick on the civil asset forfeiture. They talk about the high-hanging fruit, but go after the low-hanging fruit. Path of least resistance. Yeah, that's exactly what Greg was talking about. Like they'll bring up the one fentanyl case worth $500,000 that they got off the street, and then he goes on to say, well, he's got 100 more examples. No, you don't. You only had that one example.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. And all the other examples were by the defense attorneys that were showing up to testify before we listened in for like an hour and a half. We just don't have the time to listen to all of that, where they basically went through all of the low-hanging fruit, which was Tom was talking about. Tom says again, no wonder the sheriff is resisting Amendment A. I didn't even know the sheriff was resisting Amendment A. I mean, I guess most of the law enforcement that I was familiar with making statements about it were against it. I know that a few actually signed the petition when I was petitioning. So I know it's not like a universal, but I would say a majority were against it. Colin says, forfeiture dollar amount exceeded $5 billion a year nationwide. Yep, and I think I forgot how much it was in South Dakota, but I know it's substantial. Okay, so
does this Devin? Wait, is there a spoiler alert that I'm just not getting? Like, spoiler alert! Here's his booking photo. Like, I mean,
breaking news right now.
I mean, honestly, Devin, because I mean, not to kick a dead deer, pun intended, but I mean, again, I don't get why all of our phones aren't ding Attorney General arrested.
Yeah.
Relieved of duties as acting attorney general. Like, why? Where's the press conference? Why isn't the Queen of Meth, on this right now? If she's our employee.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like everybody's saying she might run for president in 2024.
Yes,
like wouldn't you
encouraging her?
Wouldn't you want a record of being for impartial justice? Like, wouldn't you want, as Christina, wouldn't you want to have Jason Ravnsborg charged? Because then you're basically making a statement that you're not, like your typical
put it to you this
Good
way:
Boys Club Republican.
whoever's running against her for governor in 2022 is going to use this against her if she does not act soon.
Oh,
I'm
wait, what
putting
just happened there? Okay.
Put it to you that way. There will be political consequence. Yeah, they break it down here too. The report.
But yeah, I was going to point out this line right here. Ravnsborg's account of the night, which we read in the public statement he made, the third on like September 16th or 17th. His account of that night has not been corroborated by authorities. So, you know, it's a little glimmer of hope at the end of this tunnel here that they're not just right off the bat saying that he's innocent. Like these investigators from North Dakota are supposedly saying, but maybe they're teasing us. Who knows?
So if they do a whack job on this one, I'll never let North Dakota live it down. Again,
so here we go. We got a time now when the body was discovered 10:30 a.m. The next day. So he probably didn't have a blood test for over 12 hours.
Yeah, again,
over 12 hours. So that's basically not even
irrelevant.
It's totally irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. Here's Noam's response. Noam declined to say whether she's asked Ravnsborg to step down from his attorney general position amid the investigation, or if she believed he should now that investigators have determined he was distracted at the time of the crash. Like, again, like obviously, why is it doing that? Obviously, it's basically is like a big, good friendly club. All the Republicans are going to look out for each other. Situation. I'm going to refrain from expressing my personal opinion until the investigation is totally complete and the state's attorney makes a decision on what charges, if any, will be filed. Like, why do you need to wait that long?
Hey, who's the state's attorney on this again? Let's get their picture on the screen.
Let's see here. That's a hide. One of you guys look it up so I can just show you.
It's in the article. Just copy your name.
The Hyde County State's Attorney. Like, search that, and then I'll put your screen up.
Just right click it. I'll show you how. Right click Hyde County State's Attorney, and you'll have an option that'll say Google.
Yeah, but then it's gonna take me to.
No, that's fine. Watch. Just Google that Hyde County State's Attorney. Right click.
All right, here we go.
And boom, it'll take you right to the Hyde County State's Attorney's office. I think that we should change this number scrolling across the screen and have it be their number scrolling across the screen, where they can. If you made an hour and 45 minutes into this broadcast, and you're thinking to yourself, maybe I should call somebody else instead of these three about this. Who do they call, Mr. Saxon?
Well, I'll get my screen up. What's showing right now? It doesn't have a picture of him. It has all the state's attorneys, though. Okay, here we go. We got. This is statesattorneys.org.
Yeah, that'll work.
Here we go. We're getting to the H's now. Hyde County. That's not the same.
Now,
that's
again,
not who was listed in the article, was it?
Just for the record, well, that'd be probably the old. That's probably still the public number, though. I would venture to guess at the public number to an office there. But again, for the record, the reason for those that don't know why we're going to this state's attorney is they're the ones that would file charges, because if a crime occurs, the crime occurs in that jurisdiction. That's where jurisdiction is, and they will prosecute out of that county where the crime occurs.
See. I mean,
and it's up to that county prosecutor. So really, if you're thinking, wow, that's my county, and that's my county state's attorney, this should be the first thing that you want to get to them. Like, hey, what's going on with that attorney general? I mean, you would have thrown me in jail. Like, what's going on with the investigation? So, again, I'm pretty sure that'd be a public number. If not, I'm sure Merlin there knows who the current Hyde County state's attorney is.
Tom says the Hyde County attorney should file charges after the investigation showed he hit the pedestrian on the shoulder. Exactly. It's like what they're saying is, well, I want to wait till the investigation is complete. Like, they're The investigation is complete. You guys know the investigation is complete. What else do you need? Like, what other information?
It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday, Mr. Saxon. he was gonna steal so much money with the government and get that government so much money by being this brutal overlord dictator. And now he's committed vehicular homicide and he doesn't get to do that anymore. So, I mean, it's kind of a poetic justice. He exposed the racket for what it is. I mean, and it's sad. I mean, I think Kristi Noem on the way to becoming president of the United States would certainly throw a Jason Ravnsborg under the bus. Like, you think that if we came back to her in the future and like, Kristi, if you want to see the White House, it involves at least getting a jury trial for this, issue. And if you don't, you come within 100 feet of the Oval Office. I promise you. Like, it'll never happen.
Without commenting on the Ravnsborg Beaver case specifically, Price said not all distracted driving distractions merit charges. Distractions by cell phones, for instance, is against the law in South Dakota, but other driving behaviors that can distract a driver from looking at the road aren't.
That's not true at all, because there is a distracted driving law on the books.
Mm-hmm.
And that, well, I don't have the codified law sitting in front of me,
which he enforced. The issue again is not whether there is. It is a law, and he's the guy that enforces it. So,
well, this might be how they're trying to. This might be the window how they're trying to weasel him out of it. And it says,
that's what I'm saying.
We all know you can't text and drive. He said, looking at something you dropped on the floor, reaching out to grab it, and taking your eyes off the road for a moment. I don't know if that would be against the law. How the hell is that? Like, you killed somebody by doing that.
Yeah, not with the pictures, the images. No.
Like, how is reaching down to grab your phone off the floor any different than texting and driving?
How does it end up with you lying on a 911 call? Again,
You lied twice on the 911 call.
Yeah, so again, these are all relevant issues. So.
And then I don't have the article handy, but I know that a witness
play that while we're talking here. It'll show you like the scene and the area and the family involved in it. And just watch that. You'll see.
No, this is the 911 call that we've already listened to.
Oh, all right. Well, fair enough. But either way, man, I'm telling you, we don't need to go back over the history of it. But he thought he hit a deer. No. That's wrong. It was implied that maybe he hit a deer. He's like, I don't know. So, again.
Well, this line is way off, out of line here. Authorities at the same time released the toxicology reports for Ravnsborg, indicating that he was not under influence of drugs or alcohol at the time of the crash. They would not know that. They didn't give him a blood draw for over 12 hours after the accident. That alcohol would be out of his system completely.
You literally just found fake news in live.
That is 100% fake news. Like, I can't even believe Argus leaders should be ashamed of writing that statement right there.
Who wrote this article? Who wrote this?
I don't remember. I don't want to go back up. I think it was here we go. Fine, I'll go back up.
Who wrote this article? Because you're fake news.
Oh, Steve, Argus leader.
Fake news, man. Fake news.
Okay, I gotta go all the way back down now.
And now I must be a Trump supporter because I keep saying fake news.
He's got some things right.
Triggered some Democrats.
Where is because when you guys find the article with the flashlight, let's close with that article. If we can find the article where they find the guy with a flashlight.
Right. No, that'd be one thing. So I'm gonna go after this here with the victim's response because I think I think this is a good way to close it out. I mean, for me at least to the
Ravnsborg was distracted at the time of the crash, confirmed what Beaver's family suspected caused his death since his body was discovered. Beaver's cousin, Victor Nemec, told Argus Leader Monday afternoon that based on his own examination of the crash scene, the skid markings on the road, Ravnsborg had taken his eyes off the road for a period of time. My brother and I have been out many times, took lots of measurements. He said when you could still see blood smears in the skid marks, it was very obvious the car was out of the driving lane and onto the shoulder. All right.
Again, so that's where I think, like, what are we doing? We're sensationalizing it in an hour and 52-minute now podcast. But there's a victim in this, and my jokes aside, it really does frustrate me that this is why are we still having to even do this broadcast, Evan? It's incompetence all the way around. So your podcast is definitely going to be an archive of this story. They're going to try to cover it up. I mean,
all right, here we go. Last news article of the night. AG was distracted when he crashed into and killed a man walking with a flashlight. So this is the big game changer, I would say. Like, John Beaver did everything right. He was walking way on the shoulder of the road. He was walking against traffic like he was supposed to, and he was even carrying a flashlight so people could see him. So there's really, like, what else could he have done to avoid being killed by Jason Ravnsborg that evening? Other than having not left his home that night, but
and that's not a crime, man. And breakdowns happen, and they're unfortunate, and that's a tragic way to lose a family member. Mm-hmm. And to watch your government covered up. I know that this government in South Dakota and moving here, I've having ran for governor, I got a few phone calls from people that said family members of theirs were either gone missing or murders were covered up, and it's heartbreaking that this is just another one that's being treated the way it is. And like I said, I'm waiting for the full report on this story of him being tried by a jury, because we will be covering that on Adam versus the Man exclusively when that trial takes place. Because any state's attorney, and they don't have your name out there, or I would have said who it was. You have a responsibility to Monday morning. I mean, if we're going to draw you some attention you don't want to get, at least a jury trial. Put this in the hands of 12 and show us what due process actually looks like. Otherwise, this government is about as illegitimate as it gets.
If he didn't die under the bus, she would have backed over him a second time.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Christy Noam. She would. She would throw him under the bus for president of the United States. Absolutely, she would.
Tom says eating a burger and driving is distracted driving. We all do it, but I have been stopped for it because I crossed the shoulder line.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. South Dakota has a distracted driving law.
Yeah, it gives them to pull you over and conduct civil asset forfeiture and violations of the 4th, 6th, 8th, and 9th Amendments. Like, yeah, okay, well, and you want me to have sympathy for the Attorney General that enforces unconstitutional laws? Like, go to hell, man. There's no way. Like, and go sit in the jail cell for the vehicular homicide you just committed, Jason Ravnsborg. And anybody that tries to allow this to continue and perpetuate through perpetual investigation when they know what's true is true, it needs a jury trial, and we can put this to bed. And guilty or innocent, at least he gets something that a lot of people don't get: due process. And that's pretty much all I got to say about Jason Ravnsborg, you guys. I got to get going to bed here. I got to get up early for a podcast with Cash Jackson and Adam, as always, with the Daily Show. So it's been a privilege to be on your guys' second episode. You guys,
thank you. Anytime.
You guys are already balling on the in-deep analysis on stories, and I'm just grateful that I got to be a part of it. So hopefully I can be invited back on. And cheers to you guys. And hey, keep doing this. I'll get with you, Devin, afterwards, and maybe we can do a little collaborative effort here to help you guys out.
Definitely, man. Thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Thanks, Devin. Peace out, guys.
Have a good night. All right, Greg, how about we just finish off this article and we'll call it a show? How about? So, this is from the investigators. Evidence shows that Mr. Beaver was walking on the north shoulder of U.S. Highway 14 carrying a light, Price said, while Mr. Ravnsborg was traveling westbound. The investigation shows that he was distracted, entered the north shoulder of the U.S. Highway 14 and struck Mr. Beaver with his vehicle. So yeah, we're getting into the nitty gritty now. Like we know. Here, let's read again. Continue. Ravnsborg was distracted and failed to keep in proper lane, the accident report says. A diagram of the crash shows Beaver, a 55-year-old from Highmore, walking in the shoulder, and Ravnsborg hitting him while driving in the shoulder, not in the lane. The shoulder is more than 10.5 feet wide.
Yeah, that shoulder was huge.
Yeah, so it's like, yo, this is charges need to be brought for manslaughter at least. He lied on the 911 call twice. This guy.
Well, it's like Tom said in his thing about distracted driving and the burger. South Dakota has a distracted driving law, and distracted driving is not defined.
Mm-hmm.
So that is really up to discretion. So it's like, okay, eating a burger is distracted driving. Fiddling with your radio, if it causes you to go off the road, that is distracted driving.
Mm-hmm.
And that's honestly the whole argument I've always had against the South Dakota creating these new texting and driving laws, because we didn't need them, because we already had distracted driving laws. Yeah. And texting and driving is distracted driving. So
yeah,
we already have that law. And so, yeah, it's a little shocking in this article you pointed out where they said that somehow there are different types of distracted driving. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that's some bull crap that they're trying to come up with, to weasel him getting out of charges being pressed against him. And it's like, we're just wanting charges. Well, like, that doesn't mean he's going to get charged guilty. Tell the jury that. Tell the jury when he's in trial that, oh, well, it's not the same as dropping your phone on the ground and trying to pick it up to somebody. We'll see what the jury has to say. Like, that's the only fair way to do this.
Yeah, he hasn't exactly said what he was doing, what he was distracted by. So what was it?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So if you're going to make excuses that some things aren't distracted and some things are, well, what was he doing?
Yeah. And that's like, he hasn't, I don't know if they just haven't released it or if he hasn't told them what he was doing, or if they're trying to give him time to come up with a good answer to weasel out of having charges pressed against him. Like, oh, I dropped my phone on the ground.
I'd say the other thing that the state does to people is the state classically uses grand jury indictments where they don't even wait, for that state's attorney to formally bring charges. They go to a grand jury. They present the evidence, and then that grand jury indicts them on charges. And for people like you and me, this probably would have went in front of a grand jury already.
Oh yeah, already. We'd already have our faces all over the news. All right, so let's see here. The detailed investigative work that has been done thus far, priced at about, or the detailed investigative work that has been, that's what I just said, priced at about how investigators know how Ravnsborg was distracted without knowing what distracted him. So according to the investigators, they're saying they don't know what distracted him yet. So is he really cooperating with all interviews? Why did they not ask him that question? Maybe I'm reading that wrong and not let's see. Anyhow,
or they're saying that Ravnsborg says he doesn't know what distracted him. I don't know. That doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, like this doesn't make sense. But that's one of the key points that they're gonna have to be vague on. If you're like a lawyer and you're trying to get out of it, you're gonna want to be super vague on what distracted you until you got brought to a trial. But yeah, I think we've basically covered all of the key evidence. There's probably some more things to go over, but we're at about 2 hours now, and anything we miss, we could probably cover for a little bit in episode 3. Ravnsborg says he does not plan on resigning. So Ravnsborg is taking this to the end. He's not going to resign. He's going to basically, the only thing that's going to maybe get him to resign is if charges are pressed against him.
Hopefully, maybe the family would file a civil suit. That would be nice.
Yeah, and let's put the number up again in case anybody's still listening or wants to write it down. I would say I'd strongly encourage anybody who wants charges to be pressed against him to call in and call this number and say that you want him to be charged. Like, all we're asking is for a fair jury trial. We're not saying, like, put him in jail right away. It's like, no, we just want a jury to decide if what he did should keep him out of jail time or not. And, if I was on that jury, like, with the evidence that I've seen so far, obviously I would probably vote guilty, because there's no way that and for those who are listening in and can't see, the number for the Hyde County State's Attorney's Office is 605-852-2761. So with that, I think we'll call that a night. This has been Hedgehog Watchdog. You can check us out at hedgehogwatchdog.com. You can follow us on Twitter at hedgehogwdog. You have anything else to add, Greg? Yeah, Facebook.
No, I'd say just in closing, I kind of said this earlier, but I don't know if Ravnsborg is guilty. Looking at those charges earlier, I would say he's probably guilty of involuntary manslaughter. If he was distracted, he veered on the side of the road, he accidentally hit somebody. To me, that's not vehicular homicide. Well, we don't know the blood alcohol content.
Yeah, I think he might have weaseled his way out of a homicide case because he didn't get his blood alcohol content tested that evening. So
yeah, had we had that, then there might be a case to be made for the homicide. But I think the main thing for me is just the fact that, and you just said in the article, he has no intentions of resigning, and that's really a shame, because at the end of the day, your negligence, your whatever you want to call it, killed somebody, and the best thing for you to do would be to just go away for a few years. Like, you don't need to be a public figurehead, in these times right now.
Even Bill Janklow resigned from the U.S. House when the same situation happened to him. And all right, with that, I'll leave some final words up on the screen here from none other than Bill Janklow himself. There's a world out there, and you've got to look at both sides of the mountain in your lifetime. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. The Hedgehog Watchdog will be live next Sunday at 7 p.m. Hope to have you guys call in, and we'll see you then.